Okay, so what I did was I have all of our properties up at the top, and you should already have them on your paper. And we're going to do a few examples expanding and then a few examples condensing. So expanding is going from here to here. Condensing is going from here to here, okay? Now, it could be a mixture of any of these properties that we've learned, so don't think that it's just one. The first example is log base 6 of 3x. So what I need to do is ask myself, okay, what operation is occurring right here? So 3x means 3 times x, which means I'm going to use product property. So product property tells me I take what's being multiplied and split it into 2 logs. So I'm going to say, okay, log base 6 here, log base 6 here. I take the 3, that's the first part that's being multiplied. I take the x, that's the second thing that's being multiplied, and I add those together. And I have officially expanded my very first logarithm. Next example, log base 2 of x over 5. So same thing, I need to ask myself, what is the operation here? Well, x over 5 is dividing, so dividing means quotient property. I'm taking x divided by y, and what ends up happening is I split it into 2 logs. So I have log base 2 here, log base 2 here. You have to keep the bases the same. The numerator goes in the first log, minus the denominator goes in the second log. Example 3. So far, the only examples that we've done have only required the use of one property. This next example is going to require the use of multiple properties. Now, if you notice here, there is no base written, okay? Which means it's understood to be base 10. Do you have to write the base 10? No. Do you have to know that it's base 10? Yes, you do. Okay, so I see several things here. But the first thing that I see is that x and y squared are being multiplied. It is very important that you do not think that it's like this, okay? Just y is being squared, not xy. So I'm going to start there. First thing I'm going to say is, okay, that means log of x plus log of y squared because of product property, and x is being multiplied with y squared right here, okay? But if I look here, that can actually be expanded further because that's this property right here. I've got something raised to a power within a log. So I'm going to now keep going. Log of x, that's not going to change because that's as simplified as it can get. But I can change this log of y squared by taking the exponent and moving it to the front of my log. So I can say 2 times log of y. And so now it is fully expanded. Example 4. Log base 4 of xy over 3. Okay, this is very clearly product rule or product property and quotient property. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my quotient property. So I'm going to say log base 4 of xy minus log base 4 of 3. But I can split this further. Because it is multiplied together, I can now split that into 2 different logs using product property. Log base 4 of x plus log base 4 of y minus, bring down my log base 4 of 3. That's fully expanded. You kind of get the gist. You just have to find the property and apply it. All right, next one. Actually, the next 2 I'm just going to write down. You attempt them and then try them on your own, and then unpause the video and then see if you got them right. log base 3 of x squared y z. So clearly several rules. Log base 5 of x cubed y to the 4th. So what I want you to do is pause the video and try both of these on your own. All right, so I see, hopefully you paused the video and tried it on your own. I see these things are being multiplied and also this exponent. So I can see I'm going to use product rule or product property and power property. So I'm going to start by saying, okay, log base 3 of x squared plus log base 3 of y plus log base 3 of z. That's me having used product property. Now I'm going to just take this exponent of 2 and bring it to the front, which puts me at 2 log of log base 3 of x plus log base 3 of y plus log base 3 of z. And finally, I see quotient rule here, I see power rule here, or sorry, not quotient rule, I'm so sorry. Product rule here, product rule, power rule, power rule. So, let's start with product rule. Log base 5 of x to the 3rd plus log base 5 of y to the 4th. But now I have to take these exponents and bring them to the front, which becomes 3 log base 5 of x plus 4 log base 5 of y. That is how you expand. Now, expanding is something you need to know how to do, but condensing is what's going to help you usually when you're solving equations, which is going to be one of our next few lessons. So you really definitely need to understand these properties so you can condense properly. And luckily, some people find condensing easier than expanding. So go ahead. I've got the properties here again, and again, we're going to do 6 examples. Except for, of course, this needs to say condense the following. Okay, the first example is log base 2 of 3 plus log base 2 of x. All right, so I see a plus sign, and that plus sign tells me, hey, there's only one plus sign in your rules. That must mean I'm using product property. Well, product property tells me take the 2 separate logs and turn them into 1 log. So let's start there. I'm turning those 2 separate logs into 1 log base 2. Well, what does it tell me to do if I'm multiplying 2 separate logs together? When I add 2 separate logs together, I multiply them within my 1 log. So 3 times x. Now, that's not how we normally write stuff, so I'm just going to say log base 2 of 3x. And that's how you condense that log. So really exactly what we were doing, but maybe even easier. Next one. Log base 3 of 7 minus log base 3 of 4. So again, I see a minus sign. That minus sign indicates to me that we're going to be using quotient property. Quotient property tells me go from 2 logs down to 1 log. So I'm going to go down from two separate log base 3s down to just one log base 3. And it tells me to take these values and divide them. So I'm just going to say 7/4. If that could be simplified, I would simplify it, but it cannot be simplified, so that's it. Example 3 is log base 5, or sorry, not log base 5, log of 5 minus z log of 9. So again, my log is not written, which tells me that it's base 10. Now I see that I'm going to use quotient rule, but I'm also going to use power rule. So let's start with fixing up that power rule because it's within one log. I'm not combining two logs together just yet. So log base 5, I'm going to leave alone, minus log of 5 minus log of 9 to the z power. Now I can apply quotient rule and say, okay, turn those two separate logs into one log, 5 divided by 9 raised to the z power. Let me write it a little more clearly. And that is condensed. Okay, I'm going to again write down examples 4, 5, and 6. You pause the video, attempt them, and then unpause to see how to do it correctly. 2 log base 6 of u minus 8 log base 6 of v, 8 natural log 7 base 7 of a plus 2 natural log base 7 of b. I wonder if that natural log changes the properties or not. Hint, hint, it doesn't. And finally, 3 log of 2 plus 2 log of 6 minus 2 log of 4. So again, pause the video and try it on your own. So, hopefully you've got some answers. I see right here, this is going to be power rule. This right here is again going to be power rule, and this right here is going to be quotient rule. So the first thing I'm going to do is fix my power rules. Log base 6 of u to the second power minus log base 6 of v to the 8th power. Now I take that subtraction and use quotient rule. So then I have log base 6 of u squared divided by v to the 8th. Next one. Again, natural log does not change anything. The only difference is instead of you saying log over and over, log, you're going to say natural log over and over, ln. So, power rule, product rule. So I have natural log base 7 of a to the 8th plus natural log base 7 of b squared. Now I'm going to apply product property. Natural log base 7 of a to the 8th times b squared. All right, last one. This one has 3 different things, but that's fine. It's still all the same properties. So again, I see power property, product, or product and quotient. So this becomes log of 2 cubed plus log of 6 squared minus log of 4 squared. Well, first off, I need to fix that 2 cubed, that 6 squared, and that 4 squared. So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 6 squared is 36. 4 squared is 16. Now I'm going to use product property, which tells me log of 8 times 36 minus log of 16. I'm out of space here, so I'm just going to copy that part down onto another slide. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is figure out what the heck 8 times 36 is. So I have log of 288 minus log of 16. And now quotient rule tells me I need to divide those values. So I have log of 288 divided by 16, which ends up giving me log of 18. So that big long thing turned into one small log. There's lots and lots of resources out there online about properties of logarithms, other YouTube videos you could watch if this wasn't clear enough, more practice that you can do. Just because you don't understand it right now, that doesn't mean that's an excuse to not understand it, period. There are resources, there's questions you can ask. You can rewatch this video. And I think the more practice you do, the easier it's going to get, even though it might be a little bit confusing right now. So make sure you're using those resources.